Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name is Jacob and today we're taking a look at a brand new 40th anniversary Alien Pop Vinyl figure from Funko Toys. This being number 731 in the Pop Movies line of figures. So this is actually a reworking of their original Xenomorph figure. It's got a completely new sculpt and all that good stuff from their original one, which I'll bring in shortly. And this is, a special 40th anniversary figure since Alien came out in 1979, I'm going to say. 79. So it's 2020 now, but I guess this thing came out in 2019. So not as new as I was kind of saying in the intro, but still a fairly new figure. And as soon as I saw this thing, I was like, I gotta have that thing. Like, I'm not a huge collector of pop vinyls. I mainly collect Monster Arts Godzilla figures and stuff like that. But this thing was just too cool to pass up because, unlike the original one, this guy has got a transparent plastic dome over his head and just looks so much better than the original one. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, like all pop vinyls, he comes in this basic little cardboard box with a little hollow plastic thing where you can see the figure originally in his packaging. Just got a little shiny metal sticker on the front that says Alien 40th Anniversary right there, looking really snazzy. Got a little drawing or cartoon version of the actual figure on the front here, and it just says Alien Xenomorph down below. Vinyl figure in a couple of different languages. That's all really nice and cool. And it's just a side view of the box. The back is the basic sort of Alien box that we always get with pop vinyls. Got a little cartoon of this particular figure. You can even see on these cartoons, you can kind of see he's got the clear dome and you can see the skull underneath, and that's really neat. Around here we also see we got a Ripley in spacesuit figure is another one that must have recently come out in this line, so that's pretty cool. Around the side, we just got that same cartoon Xenomorph figure, so looking really nice. So yeah, let's get to the figure himself. So again, he's basically the same size as all pop vinyl figures. He's a nice little small figure, and he comes with this little stand, which is so cool, and I wish like every pop vinyl came with a little stand like this, because he does have peg holes under his feet, or at least under one of his feet, because he's got kind of a stance where he's got one foot kind of angled up and the other one's flat, and that flat one you can peg to this little clear plastic base, which is so useful. And I have so many problems with my other pop vinyls standing, but this is so useful for this figure, and it's really cool. Here is a nice little close-up look of this guy. You can see the first thing that strikes you is this lovely, dark, smoky, clear plastic dome that they've got over his head, and that just really makes all the difference for this figure. It makes him really come across as that classic big chap xenomorph. Of course, we've got all that Giga-esque detailing across him, all just done in a very basic flat black, which, you know what, it's fine for what it is. It works for this figure. I mean, it's a pop vinyl. Like, generally we don't expect great sculpts on these things. That's really why I never review these things, because they're so basic. But, they're cool for what they are, and I can see why they've become so popular. And particularly ones like this are really showing that they're actually trying a little bit harder than they really need to with some of their figures. So this is so cool. And around the front you can see that classic alien skull, which is looking really neat. Personally, I prefer most alien figures, or most alien big chap figures, to have the skull be a little bit more darker around the front, so you can't really make out the skull too clearly. However, for this figure, I think it works. Personally, like I said, I like the skull to be kind of hidden as much as possible, which is one of the issues I've had with, say, the Monster Arts figure or some of the other alien figures out there, some of the other NECA alien figures, for example. But here I think it's pretty cool because it does really demonstrate that kind of gimmick of this figure that makes him stand out from other pop vinyls. And it is really nice to see that detail under there. This dome itself is quite dark, so it's not too obvious anyway, so I do like that. And it does really look a lot like the drawing of it, which is actually pretty cool. It really does convey that same sort of feel, which is really neat. Of course, he's got his metallic silvery teeth, which look really menacing, really mean. Very sort of classic alien look to his face there, which is actually captures that really nicely. his body details are pretty good for a pop vinyl as well. There's a lot of biomechanical detail going down there. Of course, he's got a very stylized kind of body structure, a very small body, and this cool little tail. I like the way it wraps around his body like that. An issue I have with this figure, and frankly the original one as well, is that they added this sort of this skeletal kind of detailing that is raised up at the tip of his tail here, and that was only found on, I think, like the Alien Resurrection aliens and the Alien versus Predator aliens, not the original Xenomorph from the original 1979 film. So, this being a 40th anniversary figure, I would have preferred if they kept him very close to the original Alien and not had that detail. But again, it's a pop vinyl. I'm not going to critique it strongly over little things like that. But that's something that I would have preferred if they just had a sort of very simplified tail without that raised fin. But of course, he's got the nice little dagger at the tip of his tail, which all aliens seem to have. And that looks really great. So there we go. Good look at his little body there. I like his pose. It's very, very cool, very organic. And he's got all those little tubes and all that interesting stuff going around the back. So, aside from that tail, he is very accurate as far as accuracy can be for a pop vinyl to the original 79 Xenomorph. I actually happen to have two other Xenomorphs we can compare him to. One is this 8-bit Xenomorph, which I thought was really cool. I got him for a pretty nice deal at the same time as I bought this guy. I got both of these from popculture.com.au. It's an Australian seller of various pop culture items and figures and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought these were a cool set to get together, and they're both really cool incarnations of this guy. Obviously, this guy's extremely stylized compared to this figure here, but you can kind of see the difference between the two. This one's much closer to the original one, which I have in this little box here, so we're going to take him out and we'll compare the two. So, open him up. Slides out like so. One thing you will notice is that the original one was number 30 of the Pop Movies line. So look how far we've come since then. 731 different movie characters. This line of Funko Pop figures has just gone absolutely insane. And this one's called Alien, so that's kind of interesting. This one's the Pop Vinyl Alien, whereas this one's a Xenomorph. So they have little subtle changes there, which is kind of interesting, despite these being the same character, really. So we'll take him out of this little plastic holding thing. And there we go. Now we have all three of my Pop Vinyl Alien figures displayed together. So they look really nice together. Now, the strange thing is, this guy here, despite having that tail kind of like he would have from those later films, you'd think in that case this guy would have the more classic Alien tail, being that he's actually called Alien instead of Xenomorph like this guy. But no, he's got the same little fin structure on his tail as well. And he actually looks, by his detailing, a lot more like the Alien vs. Predator Aliens 2. He's got less of that biomechanical detailing and more of just like a bio detailing. And his feet look a lot more stylized and more animalistic, which is reminiscent of those later Alien films. Whereas this guy has far more traditional Gigeresque details on him. If you don't know what I mean by Gigeresque, the artist who came up with the original Alien design is a Swedish artist called H.R. Giger, and he is phenomenal. Go look up his stuff. He does a lot of, he passed away a while ago, but he used to do a lot of cool album covers for a lot of rock and prog bands, and the whole Alien aesthetic is from his design. He's one of my favorite artists. Go look up his stuff. But yeah, that just gives you an idea. So this one, of course, doesn't have a clear dome. He has a much shorter dome as well. Looks a lot more cheaply made and a lot less accurate. So I'll bring the two a lot closer to the camera so you can really get a good sense of the two. Here's our old Alien figure. You can see he's got an open mouth and a little second mouth inside, which is actually pretty neat. I'm glad they have that. And now I've got the new one with the much longer dome, much more elegant looking sculpt as well. And honestly, it's like night and day. Like back in the day, I thought this guy's pretty cool, but actually seeing this alien compared to him, it's just like, seriously, the detailing is so much better on this new figure, and just the clear dome just adds such a, like, it makes him feel kind of luxurious, if that makes sense, especially just for a pop vinyl. It makes all the difference for this thing. This just looks cheap now compared to this thing, so that's really cool. I'm glad they're actually improving their quality. and making it look like they care. And I think as far as a pop vinyl goes, for a 40th anniversary figure, this isn't a bad one. This is actually pretty neat. As far as like a little chibi alien goes, I like this a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a couple of other pop vinyls and a couple of other little figures, do a quick size comparison. Not that you guys really need to question how big this guy is. I mean, we've all seen pop vinyls, right? We know how big they are, but let's kind of do a little size comparison of this thing. Here I've got the Alien Xenomorph next to some Queen figures from Funko Pop Vinyl. We got little Brian May and a little Freddie Mercury. And yeah, see, this is what I mean. These things need stands, all of them, because their heads are way too big. In fact, Brian May's actually got some little peg holes, so I kind of... Maybe you can get these on the separately to these figures, because then I'd actually love to get a bunch of these stands, because the peg holes don't quite fit as well on this guy for whatever reason, but... You know, you get the idea. I wish more of these came with these little stands. That would be so much better. This guy doesn't even have peg holes, but then again, Freddy stands a little bit better than Brian for whatever reason. It's probably because of his big poofy hair. Here we got a little Lemmy figure next to Alien here, so this is a cool little pairing of figures. I'm a big Motorhead fan, so of course I got to have my Pop Vinyl Lemmy. One thing I really wish Funko would do is put out a bunch of Black Sabbath pop vinyls. I want a little Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, and especially a Tony Iommi and a Bill Ward. That would be freaking sick if they did that. But for now, I just got these kind of ones here. And let's bring in some Alien figures. Here we've got this guy next to the Figma Alien figure, or Alien Big Chap figure, and the Monster Arts one right here, which normally, like I was talking about the dome, he would have a very clear dome where you could see the skull super clearly, even clearer than this one here. However, I've actually attempted to paint it a little bit black in the front of the dome, and I'm not sure whether that turned out good or not. I should have used an airbrush or something to do that. It's a bit messy, and I think I'll undo that and reattempt that another way, but it just gives you guys a good little size comparison, because these are two of the smaller Alien figures I happen to have on hand. I can bring in some Reveltech ones as well. Also got a little Jones the Cat, not an official Jones the Cat, but just a random little kitty cat, so we can kind of pretend he's like Jones from the film. Here I've got a Reveltech Aliens Alien Warrior figure. This is a lovely alien figure. It's made of transparent or translucent plastic and kind of has like metallic paint applications that looks really cool. I've got this alien from a very similar brand to Pop Vinyl. I'm not entirely sure who made this. I have the box here so we can have a look. I got this as a gift from somebody, so I don't really know. It's a Loot Crate exclusive Titans vinyl figures. So I guess this is one of those many rip-offs of pop vinyls that have come up over the years to kind of try and capitalize off those little cheap chibi toys that kind of mimic every single character in pop culture. So you can see these two look pretty cool together. This one sadly doesn't have that clear dome, but actually has a much more accurate head sculpt. Like his face and the shape of the dome looks a little more accurate. Except for it's in a weird brown, and it doesn't quite fit. Like, this bit's a bit damaged over here, or it looks a little faulty. It should squeeze down properly on this side. But I wish we got one in this exact style, but for head shape more like this. That would have been so cool. But what we got here is pretty rad anyway. And again, the Reveltech is a really nice figure, so you can kind of get a good idea of these two. And finally, we can compare this guy to a little Pop Vinyl Slash, which is another one of those figures that really loves to topple over. Does he have a little thing under his foot to have the peg? No, he doesn't. That's a shame, because he could really use a little stand. And we have the NECA Dog Alien here, which is a really cool figure. It's really hard to get to stand because his legs are really loose, but he's a huge xenomorph from the NECA line in that 7-inch scale. So you can see the two together. They look really nice. Again, they both have really nice domes, which always make a big difference with these figures, I find. Just clear plastic, when used effectively in figures, I always find really is very effective. Oh yeah, that is it for this video, guys. I really like this thing. Like I said, I don't usually do videos about pop vinyls because I find they're really just very simple figures, not too interesting. And also, the ones I collect are actually mainly of like musicians and rock stars and stuff like that. I don't really collect all that many ones from different movie characters, but Alien seems to be the main exception to that. I do have a Godzilla Pop Vinyl, but it's honestly not that interesting, so that's why I haven't done a video on it. But I thought this thing was really cool and worth doing a video on, and I really love the use of clear plastic, and I think the additions to the detailing they have done on this thing are so much better than their original figure. And aside from the little tail having these weird fin-like structure up here, I think this is a really good representation of the original 1979 Xenomorph in a sort of chibi pop vinyl type form. I think it's pretty neat. So I recommend picking up this thing, and it's cool to have a, 40th anniversary exclusive, and I can't wait to see what other figures and collectibles we'll get in another decade when it'll be 50 years of Alien. Because, yeah, it's a great franchise, a great character. And the original 79 Alien is my second favorite movie of all time, right behind the 1954 Godzilla movie. So I'm a huge fan of this franchise and this character. So, yeah, love this thing, and I recommend it. That is it for this video, guys. I'll have more Alien and Predator and Godzilla content coming up really soon. But till then, may all your vinyl be a radiated vinyl. Over and out.